I want to carry on talking about the USA if you don't mind, because I was also watching an interview by a chap called Eric Weinstein.
Yes.
And there's two brothers. One's called Eric, and I always forget that. I get them confused all the time. I don't know if you remember what the difference.
I know of them. I know Eric more. Yeah.
So Eric Weinstein was being interviewed by a very good friend of yours, Winston Marshall.
Right.
And it was really, really interesting. That's why I sent it to you. I said, if you get a chance, I don't think you've had time. It's a long interview. It's like an hour. That's the problem. So it's a big commitment. So it's interesting because Eric was being interviewed by Winston, and then Winston somehow managed to interview his brother.
Brett,
yes. Actually, I think Brett is the first interview, and then Eric is... So Eric is the more kind of interesting one. The other one's a bit more of an academic. Right. So Brett... So Winston was interviewing Brett, and then he was interviewing Eric. And I think Eric Weinstein, who's quite a volatile character, I think took a disliking to Winston. So that interview is completely different to... Because he was interviewed by Chris... Is it Chris Williams?
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris Williams. So Eric was interviewed by Chris Williams, and it was a really good interview. And they obviously had the charisma. And it's interesting seeing that the fact that different podcasters can generate different interactions from different, on the person. And I think Eric was in a bad mood, or Winston must have said something to him that pissed him off at some point. So
it can be as simple as that. And
so I felt like actually putting in the comments, what did you piss him off or something, Winston? Because he was like, because I could see Winston desperately trying to bring... But the first interview with Brett Weinstein, which I sent you, is really, really interesting. And, the two of them chimed, and the whole conversation was really good. But the first thing that he discussed, and I want to just get some ideas to hear and just hear your thoughts on. The first thing that Brett said very clearly is the UK does not have free speech anymore. That's what he said. And it's like, I was like, whoa. It's like it was kind of...
It's true.
No, it was kind of, so the views of Americans now, certainly the more of the conservative Americans, by the way, the Weinsteins are both left-wing, but their view of the UK now is that we have lost free speech. And that was quite a staggering thing to hear, basically. I'm not sure that Winston was staggered by it, but he kind of acknowledged the fact, basically. So we you and I are sitting here saying, oh, we've lost free speech, but we think we're in a minority, everybody thinks we're fine. We've now got the Americans looking, and certainly the right, not the right wing, the conservative Americans are looking over here and saying, unfortunately, the UK's lost free speech. What I want to ask you, first of all, we'll come to your opinion on that. The second thing is, and this is a bit I'd never heard before, and I wonder if you've heard it and whether you would agree. He said the reason we still have free speech, in America is not just because of the First Amendment, it's because of the Second Amendment as well. And what he was basically saying is, in your country, in the UK, if they take away your free speech, you can't do anything about it. All you can do is go and protest, they'll lock you or whatever. He said in America, they're far more nervous. The elite, the globalists or whatever, are far more nervous about taking away the rights of free speech from the Americans because they know that the Americans, half of the American population have guns. And I thought, bloody hell, I'd never even thought about the link between the two. And then, of course, a whole panoply of ideas came to my head then. That's why the Democrats are constantly trying to get guns banned in the States. Because in their plans to Marxist ideals, the globalist agenda, they can only achieve that in America if they can get rid of guns. Have you heard that before, that idea?
Yes. Yeah. So first of all, let me start with...
I thought I was going to amaze you here.
No, let me start with Stalin.
All right, okay.
So famous quote from Stalin is, we do not allow our enemy. We don't allow enemies.
Not so famous.
It won't work now. I've said it in my head. But I bet you're going to say, we do not allow our enemies to have guns. Why should we let them have ideas? That doesn't fit in with what you just said. Forget that.
Yeah.
I just remember I knew a quote of Stalin to do with guns, so forget that.
Yeah.
So the first...
Is this just you pretending you knew what I was going to say and you actually don't, and you're just trying to desperately shimmy around it?
I'm just trying to pretend I'm clever.
Yes, yeah.
First and Second Amendment. So in the Second Amendment, which is about the right to bear arms, that goes somewhere in there. It talks about the right to bear arms is so you're armed when your government turns into tyranny.
Yes.
That's what the Second Amendment is about. It's not to protect yourself from each other. It's to protect yourself from the government, because governments can lean towards tyranny. That's why you're armed. Now, the American has a different history to us. America came out of evolution. America came out of fighting what they perceived to be a tyrannical government, which was the British government, because they weren't getting representation for their laws, even though they were paying taxes. So they came out of revolution. That's why they have the First and Second Amendment. We've got a different history here. We don't have free speech anymore. You could argue that we never had free speech, complete free speech. We have people at the moment in jail for tweeting who did not incite violence like some of them did, and you could argue they need punishing, or maybe they don't need punishing, but forget the incitement to violence. We've got some people who didn't incite violence and are in jail because of what they said online.
Yeah.
That's the only example you need to say that we don't have free speech in this country. I know where you're probably going to go, that we need to arm ourselves.
No, this is what my wife said when I said to her. She said, "Oh, you're saying we need guns?"
Yeah, that's why I thought you.
No. All it said to me is we are in a position, as a result of not having guns, we are in a position where they can do what the hell they want to us. That's all I would say.
Yeah, well, I think we've always been in that position.
Yeah. And it's worked up until now.
Did you enjoy that video? I think you did. Come on now, hit that bell, subscribe, comment. Let's build this channel. I need more followers. I need more subscribers. Be part of the journey. See you soon.